Good morning, everybody, and thank you everybody for turning up. We have quite a lot of people in attendance, which is great to see. Hopefully this is going to be a good debate. So just to introduce you to what's happening here, this is what we call a COIL event. So COIL stands for Collaborative Online International Learning. And we have a team here at the University of Sussex and a team at the SkillTech University in Mumbai, India. Um, uh, and the whole point here is that we have a collaborative debate on a topic on AI. And so the topic that we will be debating today is how can organizations ensure AI tools are used effectively and ethically in the workplace? And so one of the things that we would like, or that we've asked the debating teams to think about is what their future careers in might be and how AI is used in them. So hopefully they'll be bringing to the debate some of those aspects that are kind of personal to them. But we've also got a few kind of core questions that we have asked the two teams to talk about. And so I thought I would just relay those questions to everybody. So there are 5 core questions. The first one is, what criteria can organizations use to evaluate whether AI tools are being used effectively and ethically? The second is, how can employees, as users of AI tools, oversee and regulate their use to ensure the tools are working effectively and provide feedback when they are not? The third question is, how can organizations ensure transparency and accountability when deploying AI tools in daily operations? The fourth, what are the risks of dependency on AI tools, and how can organizations mitigate these risks while still benefiting from the tools? And finally, how can organizations ensure AI tools promote inclusivity and accessibility in the workplace? So as I said, this is a collaborative debate. So in many debates, the idea is that there is a proposition and one team takes one side of the argument and the other team tries to oppose that argument. And it's more of a competition. At the end, there's a vote to see which team wins that debate. We won't be doing that here today. This is very much, as I said, collaborative. And so what we're looking for here is to capitalize on differences of opinion, and they may be differences between the two teams coming from very different parts of the world and potentially facing different challenges. But also there may well be differences within the teams as well. And so I think these differences are a really great way for us to take multiple different perspectives on this very important topic. And hopefully from those differences, our debate teams will be able to synthesize some new ideas and some interesting take-home messages for us. The way that today is going to go is we will start off with a 10-minute statement from the team at Atlas University, followed by a 10-minute statement from the team at Sussex. Then there will be some time, approximately 15 to 20 minutes, for those two teams to ask questions about each other's statements and to have a dialogue between themselves. And then eventually we will open up the debate to the audience to contribute your own comments or questions to the debate teams. And that will be for another 15 or 20 minutes or so. Then we will round up with 5-minute conclusion statements. So that will be 1 minute per person approximately to give their own personal conclusions about the debate. And so there are 10 of us, so that should take about 10 minutes. And then we will close. If you would like to contribute to the discussion later on when I open it up to the audience, I think you can possibly raise your hand and then I will try and get to you. You can enter questions in the chat. And I had also set up something on poll everywhere. So this is an online place where we can where you can submit questions and then you can upvote or downvote questions or statements. And I will also be checking that to see what are the most popular comments or questions being made, and then I can also read those out to the debate teams. So I will give you the a link to access that in the chat. So if you follow that link, then you should be able to submit questions or comments there. Okay, some housekeeping just before we get started. So I'm joined today by Daniel Creed, who is an assistant professor here at the University of Sussex as well. So he'll be helping me moderate. And I think then I will introduce the team from Sussex, and then I'll hand over to Dr. Satish Upadhyay at Atlas, and he can provide some introductory statements as well from Atlas and introduce the team from there. Oh, I've just got a comment. The link hasn't come through in the chat. Yeah. Has that come through now? Okay, perfect. Right. Just trying to find my notes. I think I've accidentally closed a window. Okay. Yeah, so I've already introduced Daniel Creed. So here's the team from University of Sussex. We're joined by Pardeep Kumar. So when I say your name, if you can just kind of maybe speak up so that your video is highlighted.
Hi guys.
So it's Pardeep Kumar. Marlo Elliott.
Hi everyone.
We have Alexander Cunningham Rojas.
Hello.
We have Louis Thompson. And I think we may have James Jensen. Have you managed to join us here? Is James Jensen here? Okay. Okay. So yes, unfortunately, James has been unwell lately, and I think it seems he is going to be too unwell to join us today. So I'm sorry to hear that, James. Thanks for letting us know, and hope you feel better as soon as possible. Okay, so Satish, would you like to give your introductions?
So good afternoon to everyone joining us from India, and good morning to our colleagues joining from the United Kingdom. It's a true pleasure to be a part of this global collaboration between the University of Sussex and Atlas SkillTech University Mumbai under the collaborative online international learning platform that project in AI and ethics. This initiative represents the very best for what higher education can achieve. So I am Dr. Satish Upadhyay representing Atlas SkillTech University Mumbai, where I'm serving as a program lead for the BBA program honors in AI and emerging technologies. And here I'm joined today by a team of brilliant Atlas students. I'm calling their names one by one. The first one is Bhumi.
Hi, everyone.
James, yeah. Then Yash,
Hello everyone.
Seetal.
Hello, everyone.
Waiting for Seetal's image. It's not coming, Jim.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sheetal.
Then Prisha.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So these four are from BTech CS AI ML program, and then once
Hello, guys.
is from BBA AI and Emerging Technology programs. So
Okay,
these are
well,
the team members, the Atlas students, 5 students, 4 from the BTech, 1 from the BBA AI Emerging programs. So Atlas, we believe education in AI must blend human values and machine intelligence. So preparing the graduates to build technologies that are innovative, inclusive, and trustworthy. So we are focusing on the today's discussion then. James, you can proceed further.
okay, thanks, Satish, and nice to meet everyone from the Atlas team as well. Um, so just a couple of ground rules, I guess, really. Well, I'm sure you're all aware of this. Just because of the potential internet connectivity problems and general sound quality issues with Zoom, just a reminder to everyone to speak clearly and slowly so that we can all hear the important things that you have to say. And yeah, so I think we can begin now. So with the team in India, like to uh, provide their statement first. So you have approximately 10 minutes. I'm not going to be super strict with the timing, but I will try to kind of help you to round things up if it starts to overrun.
Hi everyone, this is Bhumi Shayo. So I'm representing Atlas SkillTech University India. It's an honor to be a part of this global collaboration between both universities. A platform where two nations bounded by shared curiosity and innovation comes together to discuss the future of AI. Not just the future, but also the ethics that will define it. In an age where AI tools don't just assist us, they decide for us, from hiring to healthcare to customer engagement to governance. Transparency and accountability are no longer optional, they are the currency of trust. As you all know, it's highlighted in AI Action Summit that was held in Paris that the world is now shifting from rules to tools. It's embracing openness, inclusivity, practical governance to make sure AI is safer and more transparent. Also, in an international AI safety report, it reminds us that without clear documentation, oversight, and responsibility, even the advanced systems are risked at losing the trust that they are trying to build. So India too, it's shaping its narrative through initiatives like India AI Mission and Digital Personal Act Data Protection 2023. We're seeing how we can have openness and responsible governance coexist with innovation. So our digital public infrastructure from Aadhaar to UPI, we have proven that when systems are transparent, people are trusting them more. And when people believe the system, we progress. So today, when we are seeing how exploring how organizations ensure accountability in deploying AI tools, I look forward in engaging in meaningful discussions on how we can design frameworks that can balance innovation with integrity, efficiency with ethics, and automation with human oversight. Because in the end, transparency is not merely about seeing through the system. It's moreover about ensuring that systems can stand up to be seen. Thank you.
Hello,
My
everyone.
friend Yash would like to continue.
Thank you so much, Bhumi. Hello, everyone. I'm Yash Navani from Atlas SkillTech University, and I'm very glad to be a part of this platform and discussion today. I believe artificial intelligence today is not just a tool, it has become the nervous system of the modern workplace. Now, saying that it powers decision making, automates complex workflows, predicts trends, and in many cases, even influences who gets hired, promoted, or recognized. But with great power comes great responsibility, and that responsibility doesn't belong to machines, it belongs to us. Around the world, policymakers and researchers are asking the same question: how can we ensure that the AI tools transforming our workplaces are used effectively and ethically? The recent International AI Safety Report 2025, chaired by Joshua Bengio, makes this clear that AI is advancing faster than our ability to govern it. It highlights that effectiveness in AI must be paired with ethics, transparency, and accountability. This report warns that no combination of safeguard is yet perfect. Bias, privacy risks, and reliability issues remain deeply embedded challenges today. These global efforts from Montreal to Paris echo a shared belief that AI must serve humanity and not replace it. Effective and ethical AI use isn't achieved through code alone, it's achieved through human judgment, cultural inclusivity, and collective responsibility. So, today, as we debate on how organizations can ensure AI to be used both effectively and ethically, we stand together not as competitors in innovation, but as collaborators. The conversation is not just about technology, but it's about trust, transparency, and the human values that guide the systems we build. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Vansh. And so AI is changing how companies work by taking over the repetitive task and helping with decision making. And when organizations use AI thoughtfully, they make sure that people stay involved, rules are clear, and it just boosts the team's performance. And keeping the communication open, giving the workers the right training for AI, it helps make everyone be confident about the new AI tools that are coming out. And by combining the AI strengths and also human skills, companies can create a good work environment where it's not only productive, but it's also fair and supportive. And it's not just about technology, it's about making sure how AI works for people and how it helps to make the workplace better. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Prasha Tiwari, and I also agree with what my peers just said. And as the third year BTech student who is studying AI ML, I believe that artificial intelligence is no longer a complex idea, but it's like the colleague sitting beside us, shaping how we work, think, and decide. But as AI becomes more power capable, the question we must ask is not what can it do, but what should it do? Effective and ethical use of AI begins with that moral compass. The real danger is not that machines will think like humans, but that humans may stop thinking critically because of machines. So the challenge here is balance. Innovation with integrity, efficiency with empathy. Ethical AI is not just good governance or just about the compliance part. It's about good humanity. And as future leaders, our responsibility is to ensure that intelligence, whether it is human or artificial, always serves purpose before profit and people before power. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Sheeta, and I'm truly honored to be a part of this panel discussion today. And I would sincerely like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share the perspectives on how AI can promote inclusivity and accessibility in the workplace. So true inclusivity starts with design, and I feel AI tools must reflect the full diversity of employees, going beyond the gender, the language, the abilities, and the neurodiversity, not just the majority. Accessible interfaces, adaptive tools, and inclusive data sets ensure every employee can participate fully. For example, the Triple IT Allahabad developed an AI tools that converts textbooks into accessible formats for the visually impaired students, demonstrating how thoughtful design empowers every user. And when it comes to employee involvement, inclusivity is a shared responsibility, and organizers should and must create inclusive AI councils, blending HR, accessibility experts, and employed who actually lived these experiences to audit and guide the AI systems. In Bangalore, for example, the tech firms use AI powered screen readers for the visually impaired staff, ensuring participation, productivity, and fairness. So, bias here is not static, and AI must be continuously monitored and retrained while employees have safe channels to flag issues. An inclusive AI system that listens, learns, and adapts, turning potential challenges into opportunities for growth. For example, again, Osmania University's AI-powered smart wheelchair is an example of technology adapting to real human needs over time. So, accessibility is foundational here to its core. It's not something optional. So, screen readers, real time captions, and adaptive learning paths ensure every employee and every person, regardless of their ability, regardless of their tech literacy, can fully contribute and succeed in their workplace. And according to the Randstad India, AI tools have measurably improved workplace accessibility for employees with disabilities in various ranges. So, yeah, when organizations combine thoughtful design, employee participation, and continuous improvement, I feel like AI becomes more than just a tool or an intelligence. I feel like it becomes the force of empowerment, the force of equity combined together and opportunity. So I feel like together we can build workplaces where every voice is heard, every talent is valued, and inclusion is not just a goal for us, but becomes the reality in this future. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone from Atlas SkillTech. That was a wonderful presentation. So we will move straight on to the presentation from Sussex. So over to you.
Hi, I just wanted to make sure my microphone's okay.
Yep, sounds great.
Yeah. So similarly to Atlas, we wanted to break it up by the core questions, and so I'm discussing the criteria of assessing the ethic and effectiveness. And so for the ethic, I thought you need to have a kind of transparent guideline of what your ethic is as an organization. So we thought that all organizations have to have some sort of transparent guideline on what their ethics are, and not solely just for the movements within the organization, but particularly for their usage of AI, and for these guidelines to be adequately clear. You have instances where you can have guidelines that are quite vague and allow for a lot of leeway and kind of ethics washing. So situations like Cambridge Analytica can occur where ethical guidelines are already made, but they aren't adequately clear enough. So I think there must be some sort of AI ethical review system within organizations to be able to ensure that these guidelines are adequate. And for the effectiveness, we agree that there should be some sort of comparison made between human teams and AI assisted teams, as AI isn't totally overwhelming the workplace yet. There's still in most large organizations still AI assisted teams and human and non-AI assisted teams. So you would have to compare the effectiveness of these AI assisted teams and non-AI assisted teams. So for example, for a hospital that had a radiology department, it could implement AI tools in its radiology process and see what the effectiveness of these tools is in comparison to a fully human team. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. As the peers from Atlas University mentioned how we can regulate the use of AI within the employees. So I come up with some of the strategies that should be used in the companies to regulate the use of AI within the employees. The one of the most integral part that they should introduce the AI training system so that employees should aware of the what are the boundaries of use of AI within the employer. So each AI cannot be truly right because the AI has been like a very competent topic around the world. Every company has been in the competition to develop their own tools, develop their own ways of adopting the AIs, and that same ways the team from Atlas says how we indulge the AI within the company. So one of the main points should be that how companies should introduce the AI awareness program and how they can teach their employees the boundaries, and they can also teach them like how it should be ethically used. In order to do that, there would be certain points in the AI training systems where they should focus on that. Number one, it should be how uh, if you use AI for certain tasks, it will be fine. If you use beyond that, it will be carry out as a disciplinary task. And this can come under an human team which can evaluate how AI can be effectively used within the companies. AI is like AI very important topic to be discussed within the employers, and which should also be important for them to like arrange sessions in the company so that employers should have awareness of how AI is been revolutionized within the time frame. AI is very vast topic. It depends on what kind of tools has been used within the AI, because some of the LLMs are always prompt specific. Whatever the prompts the employees type in the LLMs will give them a specific response for that task, and employees should aware of what are the boundaries and what are the causes of use of LLMs at certain point, and they should also be trained to use the trial and error method so that they have aware of what other research tools or what other tools to be used in order to make it more effective and more convenient for the research. And the last point, it should be that they should have a internal governance within the company in order to check how much use of AI has been allowed within the companies, and that will allow them to have a uh, 5 points of disciplinary action that can be take against employees if they use over than that, because some of the junior developers or some of the initial interns, they should know what are the boundaries in order to succeed with the help of AI and the team. Thank you.
Louis, we don't seem to be able to hear you. That's
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now.
Now?
Perfect.
It always happens in one way, doesn't it? So I wanted to thank the organizers, and then I wanted to thank the team at Atlas. I found your opening statement very insightful. So I wanted to talk about the risks of AI. One being the dependency on AI that employees might start feeling when we incorporate it into the business. So AI can be built from flawed algorithmic logic. That can be problematic. I mean, it can hallucinate and give out wrong answers, and it can be based on biased data and give out unfair answers. So, for example, Zillow offers in 2021, they're a company that allows people to sell their houses for cash offers. They found that their AI model constantly overvalued the houses they were buying. And this led to a 25% decrease in their workforce because they lost $304 million. Keep on accidentally saying pounds when I practice that. So they also find that employees could be not learning fundamental skills when AI is overly dependent on. For example, this is higher risk for junior employees coming into the business. They could get very good at prompting AI, but they might not learn the core principles that's needed to do their role. Another big risk is security of using third-party AI. Samsung in 2023 discovered that an employee had leaked sensitive source code via ChatGPT, and that led to an internal ban of all external AI tools. So how can we mitigate these risks? A big one would be having humans always involved in the decision-making process. We want to make sure that AI is more of a co-pilot than an employee of itself. And we need to make sure that we include AI literacy training so employees are aware of the risks of using AI and how it can get it wrong. Also, we need to make sure we have manual processes as backups for when AI does shut down, which can happen. Processing can still continue and employees are still trained on these manual processes. We want to make sure we're still fostering foundational skills, particularly in our junior employees coming in. We don't want them to just be relying on AI straight away. We want to make sure they're upskilling in other areas non-AI related. And finally, it can be important to just have internal AI systems. That way we're less likely to, where we're using internal AI systems for our sensitive data is not going to get leaked elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to start off and say thank you for this opportunity to partake in this collaborative discussion with the Atlas University. I've already heard many great points from the other team there. So I was focusing on how we can ensure AI tools promote inclusivity and accessibility in the workplace. Now, there's already been some studies that show both positive and negative impacts AI tools have had on inclusivity. So firstly, there was a study on neurodivergent and disabled users of Microsoft Copilot, and 90% of them said that the AI made key aspects of their job easier and more accessible. However, there have been also other studies where underrepresented groups are leaving the AI field. And there's also been studies that have shown that non-representative workforces will result in poorer quality services and less diverse perspectives in the AI models. Now, this can lead on to a knock-on effect, where with less diverse workforce, there'll be more biased AIs. And this has already been seen to some degree in, for example, AI recruitment tools, where for Amazon, there was an issue where women and other minority groups were prejudiced against in the hiring process. So this has also been addressed mildly by the UK government in their AI playbook in the second principle, where they also mention that it is very important to have a diverse workforce to create a diverse outcome and a diverse AI model. So how can we look into preventing this bias from growing and stop inclusivity being harmed instead of promoted? So what I was thinking and what I discussed with my team was that companies should do a rigorous testing process to identify non-negligible biases in the AI. Now, this will be beneficial, as what they can then do is produce a warning label when any AIs are used that clearly states what biases have been found in their system. And that means that people who are using it, whether it's the workforce employees or end users, are very aware of the biases that have been shown. And it's a sort of ethical practice to help everyone involved. Now, that also help incentivize the company to receive a more diverse workforce, and then try and work towards reducing that bias and ultimately removing that label from the AI tools that they use.
Wonderful. So thank you very much to the team from Sussex for your statement. And yeah, well done to both teams. It seemed like really well researched and insightful statements that you had to make. So we've come to the stage of the debate now where I would like to invite the teams to kind of open up the discussion with each other. So I will hand the floor over to the team in Atlas to begin with, seeing as the Sussex team have just been speaking. So are there any questions that you would like to raise about the statements that the team from Sussex had made? And then I'll give an opportunity to the team from Sussex to ask some questions about the statements that Atlas had made.
Not just a question, but more like an opinion. So I agree with whatever the statements that the team made, and I especially on the fact that AI training systems need ethical boundaries, especially in workplaces, because without them, innovation would just outspace responsibility. But at the same time, I feel boundaries should be an acting guideline principles, not cages, is because when they become overly rigid, they often suppress the creativity. So, for example, Tata Company, the consultant services, they introduced an internal responsible AI program. So it taught how to identify biases, how can we be much more transparent in our real life projects. which was a great innovation, and it made things easier and not restricting it. But on the other hand, there was a firm in Europe that often had strict compliances in using AI tools, where developers often faced legal approvals, and it just slowed down the entire process. So I think balanced governance would be much more better, which can be done through ethical training and auditing. Because here we are experimenting with AI, but we need to make sure that it's done with clarity and consciousness. So maybe what are your views on the same?
Do you have any follow-up comments related to that? Or any additional questions or comments from the Atlas team to give to the team?
Yeah, I do have one question. In India, we're seeing promising solutions like AI-powered smart wheelchairs and screen readers, as I've mentioned earlier, which are being implemented to enhance the workplace accessibility. So I'd be curious to hear from the panel, like what are the similar initiatives taken in the UK and how are organizations actually ensuring that AI promotes inclusion there?
So there have been similar cases in the UK, especially in earlier where you mentioned about accessible websites. There have been many cases with UK companies where they've been developing tools to help make certain websites more accessible to other languages or people who have special needs, whether that is hard of hearing, hard of sight, or need more accessible controls to access the websites. And in addition to that, there was a recent paper by Forbes on how we can use AI tools to help promote fair recruitment in the workplace, using these AI tools to measure DEI statistics and other diversity inclusive statistics to make sure that there isn't any human bias and to try and reduce and make sure that workforces stay inclusive. Similarly, there are some other technologies in work to help and provide assistance to members of the public who maybe have a certain physical disability. And yeah, I think sort of a similar pattern to India, but what I'm aware of is a lot more software based and working to help people of hard of hearing and hard of sight.
So maybe I can just follow up with that. So there are these companies that are using software to improve inclusivity. Are there any sort of GDPR issues with this that you've come across in your research? Like, are people having to actually enter personal details about what their particular disabilities might be that might be getting harvested by the AI tools, or do they put in place measures to ensure good practice in GDPR?
So from what I've heard, a lot of these technologies are still relatively in an infancy, and in similar practice, GDPR regulations aren't necessarily addressing them at this stage. From what I've read and the concerns I've developed from it, I agree that providing this information to these companies, how many users have this certain disability, and it's depend how it's deployed. If it's sort of a pre-made option in a menu, sort of like a drop-down bar, where it's an AI-created tool to assist particularly hard of hearing individuals, then that's not as problematic as, for example, a generative AI that works on demand, as the user may create a very personalized data set for exactly their needs, but then obviously the AI interprets that and collects that personal data, which the user may not initially be aware they're doing. So I do agree that current GDPR regulation does not necessarily address these particular issues. And it is something that the company should look into the future, into implementing into their workflow and making more aware the users what can happen with these software to assist their disabilities.
I'd just like to follow up on that topic, actually. I think it's also important that businesses don't adopt an idea that one size fits all. When we're making tools to help employees with other accessibility needs, we need to make sure that we're continuously receiving feedback on this, because what might work for one employee with this one need might not work for another with the same need, in fact. So I think it's important that we're always constantly getting feedback and evaluating our models and AI use at companies.
I just wanted to go back to the ethics point for a second on the hindrance of regulation, and I don't know if I necessarily completely agree with it, in the sense that I think actual legislation like GDPR can allow for so GDPR in the sense that data science, or at least data collection, then in Europe was kind of hindered in some sense, in that it couldn't totally freely collect as much data as it wanted. But it's still all systems that were born out of GDPR then adhered to a certain set of guidelines and then grew within that framework. And I think that if you do similar things for the implementation of AI tools within organizations, and you're very clear on what you would and wouldn't allow, for example, a non-transparency of usage of AI, because it might hinder the ability of the AI, because then there's some sense of a non-trust factor. I think as organizations, and then broadly as states that might pass legislation for these organizations, you want to decide what the kind of AI usage looks like within your organization. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Arlo. I see Daniel Creed wants to make.
Yeah, I was just going to add to those points, and wondered, in terms of what you were saying, Marlo, the policing of sort of AI and that kind of akin to GDPR, do you think there's an issue with national boundaries? Because obviously one of the things is GDPR was sort of the European Union. It moved beyond kind of geographical country boundaries. That was one of its strengths. Do you think that this policing needs to move beyond the national boundaries? Do you think that do you think that's even possible? And it would just be interesting to hear your thoughts on that from everyone, really.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. I think it's certainly possible. I think when GDPR was instantiated within the EU, I don't think that they had any idea if it was going to spread wider. And I think a lot of the time when certain legislation passes, it might initiate within one specific country, and then it's adopted by other countries that see it fits theirs. I think on the ethics of AI, I think it might vastly vary between country to country. There's far different ideals between different countries on what civil liberties to uphold or not. So in the UK, it feels as though that the general population is quite against a general collection of data, while in other states that might not be the case. I think, and I don't think there should be any movements to try and globalize any sort of AI legislation. I personally, I think that there certainly could be arguments for it, but I think that's that ultimately the sovereignty of your own country should allow for you to navigate different technologies independently, as long as they aren't at the direct harm of other sovereign nations. But thank you.
Is there anyone from the Atlas team who would like to comment on that, on sort of global policies for AI regulation?
Not the global policies, but the earlier questions which they have stated. I truly believe that inclusive AI starts with a thoughtful design, which uses diverse data and accessibility testing. And it requires input from various employees with lived experiences to ensure fairness. And they're right, bias can't be eliminated overnight, but continuous monitoring, feedback, and adaptation can make AI better over time. The non technical employees bring insights on usability. So even small organizations can implement inclusivity through the open source tools and policies. Transparency and consent are very critical, especially for tools supporting people with disabilities. But again, I feel GDPR ensures data minimization and user control. So ultimately, AI that listens and learns and empowers everyone equally is what I feel like true inclusion looks like.
Thank you, Sheetal. So there seems to be one thing that seems to be common to many of the statements that are being made at the moment, which is that there needs to be a lot of human oversight of these AI tools within organizations to test whether they are being effective, to provide feedback when biases are identified or any other problems with the AI, issues concerning GDPR, etc., etc. So there needs to be a lot of human oversight. And I'm wondering what the team's thoughts are on whether this could be a space to quench concerns about loss of employability because of AI taking over.
I would like to comment on that. Like, yes, there would be job losses and all, but at the same time, human intervention will always be there to make sure that the AI tools that we are using are ethical, they are relatable, and kept grounded as per the company's policies. Because right now, we know the power of AI. It's processing data in like microseconds as we speak. And without humans, we always need someone to write be there to ensure that AI grows, but it does not outgrow us. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and adding to that, you're absolutely right. Human oversight is critical, and organization need teams to continuously monitor AI, to test its effectiveness and provide feedback when biases or issues arise. This oversight not only ensures fairness but GDPR compliance, but also reinforces trust in systems. And regarding employability, I think inclusive AI doesn't replace people. In fact, I think it augments with them. Like when AI handles repetitive tasks, employees can focus on the higher values, the creative and strategic work with more of a thoughtful implementation. So I genuinely feel like AI becomes a tool to empower employees rather than replacing them in this context.
Thank you. So perhaps I can rephrase my comment slightly differently and kind of tackle another aspect of it, which would be if there is a lot of scope for having human oversight or intervention, where there are cases that AI does reduce the need for employees, do you think that there is enough scope, given the research that you've been doing into the use of AI in companies, for example, to do sort of scientific testing to test for the efficacy, to have users come in and use the tools to check whether they are working effectively and whether they're being inclusive? Is that a potential employment pool where humans are definitely needed because of the AI to increase employment? Is there enough demand for people in that area for employment?
I would say yes, and I think it's a really important role that we make sure we fill. I think any AI that's used in businesses, we should always be able to explain the answer that the AI has come up with. And for that reason, we need humans to do that. We can't just have AI do that as well. And in that way, we can mitigate the risks of AI hallucinating or giving unfair answers, which could lead to quite detrimental business decisions, which could end up hurting individual people or clients.
Yeah, again, absolutely. I feel like human oversight.
There's someone here who's unmuted themselves. There we go.
Thank you.
I think I've managed to meet them. There we go.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like absolutely your point made right sense. Human oversight itself, I feel like creates new opportunities. Even if AI certainly reduces repetitive roles, companies still need people to audit, to test, and validate these AI systems to ensure they're effective, unbiased, and inclusive. So, as you mentioned, scientific testing or user trials and feedback loops required skilled human involvement, which can actually increase demand for employees in these oversight roles. So, yeah, rather than replacing humans, AI can create a whole new employment ecosystem focused on the ethical, effective, and inclusive AI deployment.
I would like to add something to this. So, usually people are still seeing AI as a threat, that something that's going to take over our jobs or like outsmart us. But like we should stop seeing it as a competitor and start seeing it as a partner, as my rest of the peers also mentioned. So, examples for this could be like AI can analyze data, it can spot patterns and make prediction in seconds. But it doesn't have what humans have. Humans have creativity, empathy, and judgment. So when the two work together, that's where the real progress happens. So like about health in healthcare, AI can detect diseases early, but it's the doctors who understands the human side of the treatment. In education, AI can personalize learning, but it's the teachers who inspire and guide the students. Even in business, AI can process millions of data points, but it's the people who make ethical, emotional, and strategic choices. So growth comes when we combine AI's intelligence with human wisdom. So it's not human versus machines, but it's humans with machines rather.
Thanks, Prisha. I can see two people have their hands raised. I know that, Daniel, you put your hand up first, but I might give the floor to Bhumi just to provide her comment, and then I'll give it over to you, Daniel.
Thank you. Just to answer your question, I think if I think from a business perspective, AI is not eliminating jobs, it's just redefining them. So from, let's say, operational jobs to now judgment driven jobs. So businesses are recognizing this earlier with the intervention of AI, that we can now invest in upskilling the people and give them a competitive edge, because AI is doing their jobs like my peers mentioned, but with humans still being there, we can make them do tasks which AI could never even dream of doing. So it's just a switch that's happening in the job roles, but no replacement. Thank you.
Thanks. Daniel, did you want to make your comment?
I was just going to add into the kind of conversation something that Vinesh was talking about, which was the training for AI. And obviously, I think it's really interesting, this conversation, but there's that other scope is how much do we then need to train people? There's an accessibility aspect behind that. And that maybe links to is the training behind the speed of development of AI. So it was just adding that extra dimension to that conversation.
Thanks, Daniel. So maybe we can hold that thought, because I saw that also Alex and Marlo raised their hands, and I'm wondering that may be related to the conversation that was already happening. So Alex, would you like to speak?
Yeah, so I wanted to go a bit against what everyone was saying about the employability aspect, and wanted to say that I think that employability is something that is going to be really harmed, and it's going to be a real world impact as societies across the world. Now, I have some experience working in a travel insurance company, and in that company, I witnessed firsthand how an artificial intelligence was used to do the work of thousands of other low-skilled workers in assessing travel insurance claims. Now, at that point when I was working for the company, the AI was still in its infancy and was creating too many issues for it to be independent. But it was very observable that the company was planning to use it as the sole reviewer of the vast majority of travel insurance claims, which would put thousands of people out of a job. Now, I do agree that there is the opportunity where lots of these companies will have additional roles to fact check and work and use human creativity to assess the output of these AIs. However, I think the workforce or the workspace for that is much less than what we have now working into low-skilled jobs. And I think that is a real threat that companies, governments, and societies across the Europe and Southeast Asia should look into making sure what these low-skilled job workers can move into, as the work with AI alone will not be sufficient to support the loss of jobs that may occur in the next 5 to 10 years.
Thanks. Thanks, Alex. So that kind of also chimes a little bit with the comment that Daniel made. So we don't need to only think about how are we going to train people to use AI, but how are we also going to train people who have their jobs replaced by AI to make sure that they can re-enter the workforce. Marlo.
Yeah, I had a similar thought to Alex, kind of not to be overtly pessimistic, but I don't think there's much to say that there wouldn't be a job loss with the inclusion of AI kind of across these organizations. I think organizations ultimately will always be driven to lower a cost of labor, and if they can implement AI systems that can do that, then there's little incentive for them to implement these AI systems, and furthermore, these AI systems themselves are improving. I think it's not equivalent to, but it's almost analogous to the kind of the invention of the printing press, and as if the printing press was creating a kind of large amount of issues with its printing. You still require kind of oversight to ensure that every page is consistent. But as the machinery gets improved, you over time you develop trust in the machinery, where the amount of mistakes that it gives is so little that that it improves over a kind of handwritten copy of a page. And I think that similarly issues with hallucinated data or an inability to do basic maths by these kind of LLM systems, I think these they aren't essential issues necessarily. I think they're things that can be fixed, and if they are fixed and we do see job losses, then yeah, I think Daniel's point is very important on what do we do with these huge swathes of the workplace that are left without relevant skill.
Thanks, Marlo. Yeah, so it seems that there could be an issue whereby there may be an increase in employment by having people oversee these AI tools, but as we gain more trust in them, eventually we may rely less upon them. And so then we'll begin to see a dearth of employment. Sorry, not a dearth, a reduction in employment again. So at this point, I would like to open up the conversation to the rest of the audience. So I don't want to prevent the panel from speaking. In fact, I would like the panel to still contribute their ideas, but I would like to now invite everybody else in the audience to offer their own comments and thoughts, or to ask questions to the panel. You can raise your hands if you would like to do that. So there's a tool. If you go to the React feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen, I think there's an option to raise your hand there. Or alternatively, you can ask your comments through the Poll Everywhere link, which I provided earlier, and I will just provide once again, just in case some of you have joined late. So that's there. And you can also upvote or downvote people's comments or questions there. So yeah, back to the discussion. Over to you.
you're muted, but I take it you asked me to do the question.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, hi, I'm Thomas Novotny from Sussex. I was just wondering, I mean, we heard a lot about human oversight of AI, and I think I'm with you there that that is very important, and we don't want to kind of hand over our own decision making and things and completely to AI and then be a victim of biases and so on. But while these systems develop, how is it actually possible to have oversight over them? Because we don't actually know whether they are biased or not, or how would you tell? Just a thought.
Would anyone from the Atlas or Sussex teams like to comment on that? Or anybody else from the audience, for that matter?
I would actually. In fact, you're absolutely right. And I feel oversight is critical, especially when AI is still developing. One practical way is through, I genuinely feel like, would be regular audits and testing it with the real users, where outputs are reviewed for fairness, accuracy, and inclusivity. So another approach, which I also mentioned earlier, is to have the inclusive AI councils, combining the HR, the accessibility experts, and employees who've actually lived these experiences, which could evaluate our decisions. And by monitoring patterns, comparing outcomes against the diverse benchmark set, and encouraging feedback, and organizations can identify bias early stages by doing all of this. So I feel like oversight isn't about knowing everything upfront, but it's about creating the structured checks, the continuous evaluation, and human judgment alongside the artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Chital. Marlo?
Yeah, I thought it's a very good point. I think to some extent also humans are always going to trust their own judgment over that of an AI. So almost as if I see it though that if there was an AI system that was producing outputs that we didn't necessarily agree with to some extent, I think the chances are we just don't use it. I think that the system would be discarded and wouldn't be carried forward. And I feel as though that if it was carried forward, then it would essentially represent the interests of an organization, regardless. I think, and on the point of not being able to understand these biases, maybe I don't have the technical knowledge for the for the kind of construction of LLMs, but is that a process that could occur through different different versions of an AI? So if you were to train it in a specifically different way, may it have a biased output as opposed to not having one with the same data set?
I mean, to follow up on your comments, Maro, about the LLMs, I think that's a very difficult one to provide an answer to. The data for sure does determine the extent to which it can be biased, I think, and how that data is fed into the model. And I think something that Shital has commented on before is how people who have these lived experiences be users of the AI tools, and so quite possibly we don't notice whether or not a tool is biased simply because the majority of people using it don't suffer from that bias. Whereas if we diversify the people using those tools, then we might begin to identify these biases simply because it's their own experience, which is different from others.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely feel like bias in AI isn't fixed. It can emerging depend on how the system is trained, even with the same data set. For example, I feel like Amazon tried using their AI for recruiting, Their model developed a bias against a woman because it was trained on historical hiring data dominant on men. So similarly, Compass, it's a risk assessment tool in the US, which was founded to be biased against the Black defendants because the training data reflected system inequalities. So these examples like Compass and Amazon recruiting tools show that bias can occur at different versions or training approaches. So that's why organizations must continuously test and retrain AI and compare the outputs across versions and obviously include the diverse human oversight. And I feel like by doing so, they can reduce the biases and ensure that AI serves the organization as a whole fairly, rather than reflecting the unintended system patterns. So yeah, these were two examples which actually implemented AI bias.
I just wanted to
believe
bring
that
in a question that was being asked on Poll Everywhere. And sorry, I think Yash also wanted to say something, so I'll hand the floor over to you, but I'll just read out this question now that I've started, because it's slightly related to what's being discussed at the moment. The question is, to what extent does the use of AI simply replicate and exaggerate the existing ethical culture of an organization? So that's something for us to bear in mind. Yash.
Yeah, thanks. To add to the viewpoint of biases, I feel that AI governance should not just be in charge of an individual or a single team, but different teams within the organization should collaborate and link with each other to determine what the actual bias is. Now, not just teams, but different organizations and countries must like come together, because when we are looking at global AI policies, the policies are made globally, but the impact is usually very localized. So different countries, different cities, and different organizations have different kind of biases within them, and that should be factored in while we are considering what the real bias is.
Do you have some concrete examples that you could provide to kind of highlight that?
Definitely. So in an organization, teams like HR, sales, marketing, when they come together, they can share their viewpoints in a particular scenario or an example, and based on that, they can determine that what their use case is, and is that use case ethical or not.
Thanks, Yash.
I would like to comment on the point that you just made about ethical culture in workspace. So, yes, AI is influencing it a lot, obviously positively and negatively. So, like when an employee starts relying too much on the AI tools that they are using, without any rules or without questioning it why it is doing so, which could be a biased opinion, the awareness, the overall logic, and the motive why a company was doing something often fades, and it can create a negative cultural impact where people would just follow what the tool says without actually understanding the importance of it. And so organizations, yes, definitely do integrate AI, but the fact that regulatory monetary measures would obviously avoid such a mishap that could affect a larger scale on a larger level and affect many lives at once. So yeah.
Thank you, Boo. So I'm just keeping track of the time now. We've had a good long discussion here already, and so I'm wondering whether it's a good time now to look for some conclusions from everybody. And so the idea here is that you can each member of the teams can give a approximately 1 minute kind of personal conclusions / take home message / future actions that you might want to take on for yourselves as you think about moving into the workforce. So shall we start with the Atlas team? Perhaps in the same order that you gave your presentations. That would work well.
Yes. I think impact of AI has gone both ways. It's strengthening the integrity, also replacing us in some ways that we discussed. But honestly, it depends on how we use it. So for me, the real takeaway is that AI should support human judgment, not silence it. When innovations and ethics would work together, workplaces just don't become smarter, they'll become more human. And we all know a collaborative approach is something that makes everything much more better, and that's what we should do with AI. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhumi. Yash, are
I
you
feel
next?
as we conclude with the session today, AI is not merely transforming the workplace. I feel it's transforming what it means to be human with it at large. So, also adding on to this point, I feel we've spoken of trust. Yes, trust is earned when employees actually have a voice and when organizations are acting transparently when it comes to AI. So we've discussed employability and learned that AI doesn't just it doesn't destroy work, but actually redefines it. So the challenge is not to essentially replace the humans, but to reskill and reimagine them in this next century of intelligence with the help of technology. I feel this conversation wasn't just about AI and machines or employability. It's actually about a mindset. It's actually about whether we as global citizens can choose collaboration over competition or money or and ethics over the wisdom of scale, right? So yes, and one takeaway for me would be that not to let AI bias my judgment or my viewpoint on any particular point and to act on it ethically.
Thank you, Yash.
So what I think is that AI can greatly improve like workplaces by making tasks easier and helping people like work smarter. But it's also important to use the AI carefully, like with clear rules, with human involvement, so it doesn't hallucinate and make fake biases. And by working together, humans and AI can create fairer, safer, and more efficient workplace for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Vansh.
According to me, the conclusion will be that the true measure of progress of AI will not be the speed of the algorithm, but the strength of our ethics. And AI can transform the workplace, but only if it is guided by responsibility, transparency, and human judgment. So, as we move forward, our goal should not just to be like to fear it or blindly follow AI, but to shape it with purpose and principle. And every organization, I feel, every leader, every employee has a role to play in ensuring that technology reflects our shared values. And also, just let us remember that innovation without integrity is just acceleration without direction. So the future of AI is not just written by code alone, but it's also written by the conscious of people who are using it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Prisha.
So my takeaway here after listening to so many people's diverse range of opinions and point of views, I feel like AI will not define our future, but in fact we will. If we lead with ethics, if we lead with inclusivity and oversight and human judgment, I feel like technology won't replace this and it feel like it will amplify the human potential. It can strengthen the fairness and empowers every voice, every talent, and everyone fairly. So, the true legacy we can create is a workforce and a world where AI serves humanity and inclusion is the reality and where opportunity has no limits. So, together we can create that if we uphold it with ethical standards, is what my takeaway would be. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Shida. I think that was everyone from the Atlas team now. Is that right? Yep. So let's move over to the Sussex team for your concluding statements.
This has been really insightful, especially for the point on AI's inclusion and diversity. A lot of it I wasn't aware of previously, and kind of the Indian examples of the screen readers and the wheelchairs seem kind of really promising for more alternative implementations of AI than just kind of chatbots that we get hung up on. But yeah, I think AI is a really unique tool, and I think organizations and legislations and legislators are going to have to be very careful about how they want it to be used and what values they want to be adhered to, and what they want to be more give more leeway for the development of these tools. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Marlo.
To conclude with the statements from both of the teams, I understand that AI should be oversight with the human regulations, and it should be ethically judged by human organizations how AI has been used, and as well as AI should be also being AI training should be also mandatory in the organization just to ethically aware the employees what are the boundaries of the AI and how much AI can be useful for them. Also, the takeaway message for me could be AI shouldn't be the replacement for the humans. It should be like inclusion with the humans so that they can make it as a productive tool, not replace them in the workforce, in order to create a more productive insights and ideas within the workforce, so that the brainstorming timing would be lesser than the employees would be ever given. So that message I think I took with the discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Pardeep.
Yeah, thank you to the team at Atlas. I've found this discussion really interesting. I think the key thing that I've taken away from it is how important it is that we have human oversight on AI and the outcomes that it's coming up with, especially from a diverse team. We need to make sure that we can identify these biases from AI early on while it's in its rapid development. In that way, we don't need to fear AI. We can actually have it be a strong collaborator to our businesses and our progression. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis.
Yeah, I want to say first thank you to the organizers for this opportunity, and thank you, Atlas, for your thoughtful and well-researched opinions. I came from this learning a lot about both the Indian policy and examples of how Indian companies are managing inclusivity, especially with the examples of the wheelchairs from Sheetal. I also found it really interesting to hear the diverse range of opinions on how we can maintain AI to be human-centered and human-focused, and how to then move the workforce into assisting AI instead of being left behind.
Thanks, Alex. All right, so that wraps everything up for us. I think I will pass the floor over to Satish to make some kind of closing comments on behalf of Atlas.
Yeah. Thank you to all the participants from the University of Sussex and Atlas SkillTech University for such a rich and meaningful discussion. Today's COIL session was not just a debate on artificial intelligence and ethics. It was a shared reflection on how technology and humanity can grow together through ethics, empathy, and understanding. Each of our participants brought a valuable dimension to this dialogue. Bhumi highlighted the transparency paradox, reminding us that openness must be responsible, not reckless. Marlo added the perspective of ethical review systems like Cambridge Radiology Framework, showing that the structured governance protects both people and progress. Pradeep and Yash spoke about AI literacy, training, and internal governance, proving that employees are not just users of AI, but custodians of its ethics. Louis and Prisha explored data security and AI risk mitigation, connecting global policies like GDPR with India's DPDP Act, showing that privacy and progress can coexist. Then once emphasized the need for clear rules and human oversight, reminding us that AI should assist, not decide for us. And finally, Seetal and Alexander closed on inclusivity and bias, reminding us that AI must empower everyone, not a privileged few. Together, your reflections capture the very spirit of this COIL collaboration, global learning, shared values, and collective responsibility. Coming on to the final reflection of this, as we close, let us carry forward three guiding thoughts. The first one, transparency and ethics are not opposites. They are partners in building trust. The second one, AI literacy is not optional. It's foundational for every modern workplace. And the third one, inclusivity is not a feature of AI. It must be very foundation. So let's this COIL project be remembered not just as a cross-border exchange, but as a cross-value collaboration, reminding us that ethical intelligence must always guide artificial intelligence. As Professor Joshua mentioned that AI does not happen to us. Our choices shapes its future. So let those choices reflect conscience, compassion, and courage. Because the true measure of progress will never be intelligence of our machines, but the integrity of the humans who build and use them. So thank you and congratulations once again to everyone. Bhumi, Marlo, Pradeep, Yash, Prisha, Vans, Seetal, Alexander, and the team, everyone, the participants, for leading today's global conversation with clarity, confidence, and conviction. Thank you from this side. James, over to you.
Thanks so much, Satish. I wanted to just give Daniel sort of some credit here as well, because he's contributed a lot to the organization here, but he's been sitting very patiently sort of in the background here. And I just wanted to give the floor over to you in case there was anything that you wanted to say as well.
Just echoing Satish's sort of comments, and I think it was fantastic to hear about, and to see the collaboration, because I think that's what this is all about. This kind of community of practice that will drive forwards. My bias is I approach this really optimistically. So I think it will have real optimistic opportunities, particularly for that inclusivity, that there's a real kind of optimistic opportunity to include and bring everybody on this journey. And I think it was really nice to see that as a community today. So just thank you for all of your comments. I think they've been really interesting, really fascinating discussions. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Daniel. And finally, Utsav is also on the call. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to say anything if you would like to.
You're just on mute.
Utsav, are you able to hear us? He may not be able to hear us. Okay. Yes, Shashikant, did you want to say something as well?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So this is Dr. Patil. I am heading the tech school, and today's interactions were very productive, very fruitful, and students have explored new avenues and ideas. So definitely it is going to coming up with flying colors, and I'd like to wish each and everyone for contributing all the comments and studying a lot and gathering all the information. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone from our side and your side. This is a initiative. This is the beginning. We should explore it to the next level with all these things. I would like to thank you everyone from his side to bring the students together and have a fruitful discussions. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. Also adding on to, everything that we've done, this is of course something we did very last minute, but we actually put everything together, and really thankful to students on both sides. I think this is a meaningful dialogue and something that pushes, your regular learning in the classroom to something that's different. We want to actually collaborate on a lot more projects. We want you to work on hackathons and different things with students across different boundaries, because that's when you can actually put in all your skills to place. And we will be in touch with the team and with James and with your other faculty to make sure that everyone has an amazing experience and something we can do differently. But once again, thank you, James. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you to faculties from our side and students from both sides for this meaningful engagement. And in the case you all are looking at doing more and you want to work more collaboratively with our students, please reach out to your faculty who reach out to us in turn. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Utsav. So I'll just make a couple of comments now to wrap everything up. I just wanted to say I was really impressed with all of the research that you were doing. You had some really specific comments and insights to make from specific organizations on policies, and I think that was really great and helpful for us to see. There was a good diversity of opinions, and I think that's given us a lot to think about. And I feel like I've learned some things from this debate. I hope all of you have learned something in the audience, and particularly from the two debating teams. Thanks again to Daniel, to Satish, and to Utsa for helping to organize all of this. Thank you to the teams for taking part. And I think, yeah, that's it. I hope you've all enjoyed. I felt bad about cutting the discussion short because I felt like it could have gone on for much longer. There was we were really getting some good momentum going there. So that bodes well for future debates like this, I think. So once again, thank you to everybody, and look forward to interacting with you in some way in the future.
Thanks for
For now,
setting this
goodbye,
up,
everyone.
James.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.